All right, good evening and welcome. It's been a while. I have been occupied with multiple work and assignments. I had different errands to run, so that is why. And moreover, we've been at all-time highs in multiple asset classes, from Bitcoin to the S&P to Nasdaq. The Nasdaq made an all-time high also, so we're going to watch that. So this video is not necessarily about the chat. So I made a post in the private settings in our private community that we'll be talking about sentimental analysis. Now, this sentimental analysis, I would want you to grab your journal because I would want you to write. So we didn't take any trade today. This was today's analysis. We were seeking this partial, this first target here, buy side liquidity, and so, as you can see, price rejected it, failing to go for higher prices, traded lower below Sunday's opening price, and down to the daily fair value gap high. So let's see if it will seek this daily fair value gap low or whatever it wants to do. I'm currently not interested until price tip its hand. So in the economic calendar, we'll be having CPI tomorrow. So we'll be waiting for CPI to see what it unfolds. Not necessarily the numbers that will be coming out. So let's drive straight into this video because I would want to do little to no editing for this video. Now, first and foremost, what is the idea of sentimental analysis? As traders, you all have been learning a couple of price action models, and also you've been learning how trader psychology, you've been learning how psychology of humans affect their affect their performance, affect you, your own performance, you as a human, because you are a human. So you've studied human psychology. Now, before this video, you've been using human psychology for for yourself. Let's put it that way. For yourself in the aspect, in the sense that you're trying to you're trying to understand human psychology and use that form of understanding to capitalize in this marketplace by thereby understanding your own self. Now, have you thought about reverse engineering that idea? You understanding human psychology to it in total and understanding how this algorithm makes use of human psychology to execute price, to deliver price action. Are we communicating? Am I getting somewhere? So I'd want you to grab a piece of journal because I might say something that you might need to write down before we start. So chop chop and get ready. So sentimental analysis. All of this psychology, this trade psychology and human psychology that you've been learning for the past couple of months, years of your journey, it will compound and it will reflect inside of your trading and reflect inside of your understanding of IPD. Now, think of it this way. What if you are your opponent? What if you are trying to outperform yourself? What if you're the villain in this your story? It's you, not necessarily you, the you that is trying to succeed. The villain, it is the lower version of you, your lesser self that lacks proper psychology in this aspect, that lacks proper trade psychology. Now, if you can identify that lesser version of you, because that lesser version of you still does exist, it exists out there. Now, because that lesser version of you has flawed logics because of the teachings of the system, the free education that is out there, because of that flawed logic, you can then, in fact, capitalize on that going inside of trading. So when you are actually in the marketplace trying to trade and IPD is in line with your narrative and order flow is in line with what you is in line with your draw on liquidity, you can then in fact seek then you can then seek sentimental analysis by using beds, by using parrots, by using means of receiving signals, sending and receiving signals. What do I mean by this means of sending and receiving signals? I'm talking about social media. I'm talking about chat rooms. I'm talking about the television where this flood logic we talked about earlier, it is being dispersed. So we'd want to, like Hawk, would want to seek and look around those places where this flood logic is being distributed. Want to see what those others are thinking. When every time, write this down in your journal, every time you are seeing a body of price action and there's a draw on liquidity, for example, this draw on liquidity here, and you have this flag forming, you have this flag forming like this, and there's a idea n- trying to wrestle a smart money trade idea. You already have a smart money trade idea being that IPD has paired up buy stops here, which are resting above these clean highs here. IPD has paired these buy stops here, seeking these lows to pair up this with this relative equal lows like this. When you have that idea behind your trade idea, that narrative in place, and IPD is and the chart is delivering a retail illusion to make them see a form of pattern or a form of indicator telling them to do something opposite in line with what your analysis from higher time frames down to this to the lower time frame is currently giving you. Now, when that scenario presents itself, you want to make use of those sentiments you've gotten from the general public and use it as an indication to trade against. Sentimental analysis is not everything is not something you use every single trading day. It is something you use as a confirmation tool. It is like SMT. This is why I don't necessarily rely on SMT when trading. I get other traders that do rely on SMT because I understand the idea of each trader have this different personality and how they operate in price, how they see price action, how they seek price. Like, for example, I do not necessarily see price in the idea of internal range liquidity and external range liquidity. That doesn't mean the idea of internal range liquidity down to external range liquidity. It is not a valid idea or it is something that I like understanding in. But it is something that I personally I do not make use in my repertoire, in my arsenals of my weapon. I can be imagine that I'm a soldier in the war front. I have my grenade, I have my ARs, I have my pistol, I have my bazooka, I have my tanks, I have whatever weapons you can think of. I cannot simultaneously use all of those weapons. I can only use those weapons at a particular point in time. There will be time that I'll be using a particular set of PDRAs to execute. There was a couple of weeks that I was executing my model using a breakaway gap. There were a couple of weeks I was executing my model using an immediate rebalance. Your as traders, you should have multiple arsenals in your repertoire so you can whip out any of it whatever time you need. Now back to sentimental analysis. When you've understood that the general public idea is directly conflicting with your trade idea when all your criteria have been marked, you can only make use of this sentimental analysis when all of your criteria has been marked. This is why this video on sentimental analysis is a completely separate video. This video is a completely separate video. It is not a playlist, it is just a single video. Because understanding sentimental analysis is first of and foremost understanding trade psychology. This video will not be valuable to traders that have not studied themselves, that have not in-depthly studied the concept, the idea of trade psychology, how human psychology affect their performance when trading or when doing any form of mental or physical game. So because we understand that in fact our psychology, what goes on inside of our mind, inside of our mental, does in fact appear here in this chart, would want to would want to understand and use that as an indication. I'm currently seeing something and I'm trying to also backtest today's trading session while we discuss price. Now, because you as a trader, as as a more advanced trader listening to this, you've studied trade psychology, you've put in the work, you've burnt time, you've watched a lot of videos, you've watched trade psychology videos, so you've dedicated a couple of months, weeks, years to learn how the human mind works, thereby understanding yourself better and more. Now, you can then understand how to capitalize. You can then, in fact, understand how to capitalize on the weak minds, the traders, the individuals, the entrepreneurs that are weak minded, because these are your competition. These are your competitors in the market. You also have higher level of competitors in the market, but you want to be more focused on the competitors that you are in fact certain that your logic is superior than them. When I use words like this, it sounds egoistical or some type of way, but you should understand that in relation to this algorithm, we do not we do not believe in any form of knowledge, any form of logic that controls price, because we have in fact seen this algorithm in its full. So as you understand the idea of le- trade analogy, of trade psychology, sorry, have you have studied trade psychology, you can then understand the weak point, the flaws that traders and humans have, thereby making use of that for your own favor. So every time you see a retail idea or you hear them posting their idea that this they are seeking price to go towards this direction, and your analysis can your analysis that you've done previously before you're seeing that idea is telling you that price is going to the opposite side of the market. That is solidifying your own trade idea. Like I said earlier, it is a confirmation tool, it is not technical. This is something that you'd have to practice. How do you practice this? Now, you practice this by using, for example, Twitter. So go to Twitter. Don't do this with any ICT trader. I said this in the previous video. Your worst enemy in this market is a ICT trader. So if you identify anybody that trades ICT concept, if you are not learning directly from that person, do not listen to anything the person is saying, especially when you are in the market, when you're trading. Even this video, if you are currently listening to this video when you are inside of a trade, you are doing it wrong. You should listen to this video at a designated study time, not when you are trading, because I can say something that can derail you and make you think I am talking to you in this particular point in time, and then you will do something foolish and cut off your trade, or listen to my voice and think I am trying to steer you to the other side of the market. So you'd want to understand for a fact yourself. You want to understand your own personal psychology before you can then implement the idea of sentimental analysis. Also, you can make use of news channels like CNBC or Top Step TV, which is on YouTube. Another thing you can do is using YouTube. This is why Michael ICT, he watches retail YouTubers. He tries to understand their inner framework, their mindset, where they are thinking of what price is trying to do. It's not like he's trying to learn their concept. He doesn't care about their concept. He has already found the truth. So he has seen it and tested it for a very long time, 30 years plus, and with time he has confirmed that this is in fact what runs this market, what runs all market. So you'd want to make use of these others people, the people that are not aware of this our logic. If it is a ICT, if it's an ICT trader or someone that uses this our logic, you should stay away from the person and not try to counter trade the person. If I am doing this, doing my practice or doing when I'm doing live trade execution, I do not watch traders that trade ICT's concept like Tanja or other ICT traders when I'm doing this. I do this when I can make use of other traders like Patrick and the rest of the retail minded traders that I am in fact sure that are making use of retail flood logic. Patrick has been using fair value gaps. So most times I do not watch his videos to have an idea of what I'm trying to do in price because fair value gaps are actual support and resistance level in price. Price actually reacts from price, those highs and those lows. So I hope you got something from this video. I'll talk to you in the next installment. Have a nice day and goodbye.